All right, good morning, and thank you for coming to ESX and to this presentation. This presentation is on light shades and interactive surfaces. I'll tell you a little bit about myself, and then I'll tell you where we're going to go. I own two companies, Safety Technologies and Audio Video Interiors. So I'm really in both industries. I'm in the custom AV industry as well as the security industry. I got started in the alarm industry back in, should admit this, 1981. So I've been around a while. That business was bought and sold. And I started this business in 1990, and we were predominantly a security-based operation. Somewhere around the mid-90s, I got the AV bug. Don't ask me why. I think it's because alarms were kind of boring back then. But either way, I bought Audio Video Interiors in 1999. And the two companies. Audio Video Interiors is a CE Pro 100 company, and really our specialty is doing integrated systems. We do systems anywhere from $3,000 to over $1 million. Less of those lately. We're based out of Cleveland, Ohio, so it's not a huge market. I think there's about 1 million altogether if you really count a few of the outlying suburbs. So we're not really in a thriving metropolis. Cleveland was hit pretty hard in the last downturn. A lot of places to play. So of course, that's to kind of look at some different avenues for revenue. So the purpose of this presentation is to talk about, it's kind of a combination of the lighting shading opportunities, but also this emergence of what I would call entry-level based automation that's actually starting to take hold. If you've been in this industry a long time, you've heard about home automation for a long time, but it's failed to take hold until this last year or so. And some of the reasons for that, the increased awareness and acceptance by consumers, they are being inundated with commercials on TV from large utility, communication, security brands, which this is all good news for us. Because once awareness comes up, the market share will also rise. And it'll give us a lot of opportunities. And even though we don't have the advertising budgets of a national brand, we have a lot of other strengths. There's quite a few people that we would call our customers that would not even think about having a cable company install their security system. I mean, so there's a lot of opportunity there. The other thing that's also occurred is the affordable technology. Now, to answer your question, it is getting easier to do affordable home automation. There's quite a few platforms out there that make that work very simply. And with the heightened awareness, that's why we've got this opportunity. So, and it's a very big opportunity. With wireless dimmers, wireless shades, thermostats, door locks, very simple to use cameras. This is all coming together and it's kind of enabling the ability to do home automation from the bottom up. People like my company have been doing home automation from the top down. So this is quite a change for my company in particular on how to go to market. One other thing, since we do have such a small group, there's no point waiting until the end of my presentation to ask and answer questions. So if anybody has comments or questions, fire away because it's a very small group. One of the things I really like about ESX format is that it's very, very personal. It's a good networking opportunity. It's not, there's not 500 people in here. So it's a very good opportunity to really exchange information one-on-one. So if anybody has a question or comment. The other thing I should tell you is I am not the technical guru in my company. I'm more of the big idea sales marketing owner guy, and I hired a lot of smart guys that work for me. Another thing with the lifestyle factors that's affecting things is that the world's kind of gone app crazy. They've embraced controlling their homes and anything with apps on their smartphones. Now, whether this will become a fad or just a new way of life, I tend to think it's more than a fad because there's just too many things moving in the same direction. So this has really changed perceptions on what we do. I tend to think that our alarm systems are suffering in the past few years from irrelevance, because all we did was put a system in, hooked on a phone line, and it only went off when something happened, and half the time our clients don't turn them off. So they don't really have a high relevance factor. And so tying them to more stuff in the house and having the clients use them more often is what I call making them sticky, meaning that you have a good, loyal, sticky customer, and you have a lot less chance of losing them. And you usually get more recurring revenue. So. And the other thing that's coming into play is energy factors. Energy savings is not a fad anymore either. Where it was just fashionable to talk about for the past 10 years, people are starting to take notice. We've had electricity blackouts and shortages out on the West Coast. Gas prices rising everywhere. There's been a ton of media attention on shale oil and gas production as an alternative form of energy, which is also playing into the energy factor. Hybrid cars are starting to be actually seen on the roads. We want to find the ones that can afford the Teslas, but so these things are all going to shape people's opinion of security-based or just automation in general. And that leads us to things like selling shades, selling light switches, and other things that we can hang on an alarm system to increase what we do and charge more for our services. So when we were looking at this situation, and we're like many of you, our business has been around for 24 years. So that means we've got all kinds of good things and bad things. Bad things like 98% of my customers are sitting on phone lines. I've got a lot of large competitors out there flooding the airwaves with commercials, and they're targeting our customers, mine and yours. Don't think they're just trying to recoup their market share. They're trying to expand. So that's kind of a threat. So when we were looking at how to address that, one of the first things we did was we found a security-based platform that was wireless, so it's easy to install. Because it's wireless, it's also easier to sell. You don't have to have an alarm salesman that's trained as thoroughly as somebody has to figure out how to get the wiring running in the house. We picked one that had broadband, GSM, and phone connectivity. It has a Wi-Fi adapter card, so we don't even have to get a hardwire to the broadband if we can't do that easily. So it obviously supports smartphone apps. And it has Z-Wave, so we can do light switches, thermostats, door locks, and any other thing that they come out with on that platform. So that was one of the things that we looked at to address that. And we're not promoting any different product lines, but I'm a Honeywell dealer. They have a wireless product that's standalone, and then we also have a hardwired hybrid product that we can take from my existing account and upgrade. So that's kind of the path we chose. And some of the applications, and part of this is just different thinking. We're so used to selling alarm systems, counting doors, motion detectors, counting bedrooms and hallways for smokes and things, but our clients really aren't that familiar with what we do. So if you change the way you think, you can sell different applications pretty easily. It makes sense to the consumers. So with lighting switches that work off a security platform, for example, they're not the kind of switches that you're going to do exotic lighting scenes with like we do with Lutron or Vantage or Crestron. But you can do some pretty functional stuff with them. So we can turn on entry lights from the driveway so that they don't have to come home to a dark house. That's an easy sell feature. You can throw 2 or 3 switches on a circuit for that, and that's a pretty easy one to do. Having emergency lighting come on during a fire alarm that lights up the pathways out of the house. Again, it's a few light switches typically to get the hallways lit up. It's a pretty easy concept for consumers to grasp, and it's another potential just easy add-on. Turning on the outdoor security lights from an alarm activation, or just having a master switch in the bedroom. Again, these are all things that go along with our security platform. And just some simple things like using lamp modules to have some lights come on at random times, when they're gone for an extended vacation. So from a lighting standpoint, there's some really easy, simple applications that make sense, they're not horribly expensive, that you can tie right onto your security system. And one of the reasons the security system makes the best automation platform, there's a lot of things they can't do, but one of the things they do very well is it knows when people are in the house and when they're not. If they're using their alarm systems the way they're supposed to, then you can have things like thermostats come on and off based on occupancy. So it maximizes all their energy savings. You can do the things with the lights. It's very easy to do things when you have a security system that says, I'm in the house, I'm not in the house, or I'm sleeping at night. How many people are doing something like this right now? About half, okay? Are you seeing similar things out there for what you're offering, or anybody doing another twist on the lighting? Okay, pretty straightforward. Then from the custom audio video side, I'm only coming from this point because I see that our two industries, and I love them equally, but I see they're coming together quite rapidly. So, from my standpoint as being a custom AV integrator that predominantly did large Crestron Savant style systems where we would control all the lights, all the thermostats, have 24 zones of music and all kinds of things from touchscreens with custom software. It's a big change for us to look at adopting a different version of our business model. The one thing I'll tell you is, in the custom AV industry, we probably lost 50%, if not more, of the dealers exactly like me. And I'm not going to comment on how close we thought we were coming to the edge of the abyss. And part of the problem was we had too much of our revenue tied up in too few of clients, and that's a really risky proposition. And the stuff that we normally counted on to fill in the gaps in our scheduling and stuff kind of went away. And we don't have the luxury of being able to lay off people because I spend a ton of money on training. So I have to keep those people to even finish the jobs I have. So we had to weather the storm with almost full employment. It was difficult. We had to change our strategy. So that was something that we had to address right away and start to look at from the same point of view. If I was starting out in the alarm industry, getting into the AV industry, what would I do? And that's really the approach I took. Because I already know how to do the other side. So again, it was really a change of ideology, where in the past we would approach a customer who could afford a really large custom integrated lighting solution with shades and home automation. Typically we would present that to clients, they would accept the lighting, they would accept the shades, or they wouldn't. We would do the job either or. And usually they were still pretty big jobs, and we had multiple opportunities. One of the things that we've seen in this new economy is that even people that are affluent are more careful with their spending. So, and we are more careful with what we're offering. So where in the past when we were really busy, it was quite okay for me not to do lighting. It was an either or proposition, and we did a hardwired lighting solution on a new construction project. Now when we look at it, we certainly promote that. But the client says, I'm not really into changing all the lighting on my house. We'll start to look at solutions that are room-based, scene-based, and use the wireless dimmer switches that work with our automation systems. Especially with shades, the new wireless technology on cellular shades that are battery-powered, your techs can install these. The price point has come extremely down from what they were a few years ago. And with clients starting to pay attention more to energy and passive solar heat coming into the house and things, this is getting to be a much easier sale. You also have noticed there's a lot more manufacturers getting into this arena that's in our space. So our clients are getting exposed to this more and more, and so are we. Now, I think I have like 4 or 5 different vendors for light, for shades now, where in the past I had 1. So that's a big change. One of the things I would tell you, if you get into a complex lighting and shade solution, you don't do that typically as your core business model. One of the things that I've done is I've found a very good drapery and shade company contractor, and I partnered with them. And they know up front that there's some jobs I'm just going to do myself, but when I have a complicated scenario where I don't want my guys trying to custom fit shades into 3-story windows, I work with a partner, and it's very effective. The other thing I did, which has helped me tremendously, because we tend to sell things based on features and benefits. Well, when you talk about shades, that's like the smallest part of it. It's all about materials and colors and design. So if there's not an interior designer on the project, which in the first case could be your competitor, and then the way to sell shades is to have somebody on your staff that can help do that, or partner with an interior designer. Now, one of the things I did is we have a showroom, and in fact, my niece is an interior designer, a recent graduate, and she was the first one I hired on this. I realized that coming out of college right now, interior design students have a hard time finding a job except in the furniture store. That's kind of where they start. So I hired my niece, and I said, you're going to work for me for a year, we're going to get some job experience. We kind of do some custom-built jobs out of our showroom, so we're a little different kind of a company. And then I'm going to send you on your way so that you can continue down your career path, because I don't want you working in my showroom forever. And then I just hired another graduate student. So now, anytime we have a shade sale, she's the one that leads on that. She goes in with all the color swatches, and because it's really not a technical sale, it's absolutely a style sale. So those are 2 things that really help you in the shades process. And then the battery operated shades, they're really easy. We had a project on one of my bigger clients that fell in love with, what's the big shade company that I don't that's the Silhouettes. Well, anyway, Silhouettes are one of the most popular shades on the marketplace, and we don't carry those. My lighting and drapery partner does, though. And they're not exceedingly easy to control with my automation system, which was already in that house. So we actually took and used a fabricator who took Lutron motors and paired them with the Silhouette shades, and it worked perfectly. I mean, there's 18 lights on a bank of windows, 3 stories tall, and they come down within 1/8 of an inch of each other. So, but I would have never attempted that project solo. I had somebody who knew how to measure, and cause that's probably the trickiest part of the whole operation, and did the installation for us. Has anybody done much with shades? Okay. The other thing we did with lighting was, as I alluded to earlier, where I used to go in and say, here's all the lights in the entertainment areas and the major areas of the house. We put together big proposals. Now we also sell lighting packages, and the idea here is this. One of the things I do know is if someone gets lighting control in their house, you give them a room, give them a couple of rooms, invariably over the course of the next few years, they start adding on to it, because once they get it, they like it. So to me, the mission right now is get lighting control in a house, one way or the other. If I'm selling a security-based automation system, then I'm getting it for the security lights. If I'm selling a custom AV application where we're controlling the house and security, then I do a combo of both. I want to get some lighting put in there. The only difference is the type of light switches I use. So if I'm using an AV integration system, I'll use maybe I like a Lutron Radio Raw or a Crestron Infinity Lights or something that works off of their processors. So we put together some packages. Again, it just kind of makes sense. Instead of just selling a security system, put on there, and of course you wouldn't like that security lighting option. And that's just a handful of light switches that control the outdoor lights, the escape path, and they give them a switch in the master bedroom. So we do packages like that get us in the door. If they have a media room or a theater room, we'll try to do a dimming system. We propose that in every one of those systems. Sometimes they'll take them out, but we do every one. And again, the idea is when you get them used to the idea of hitting one button, watching a video, and having the lights dim around them instantly. Get them used to the lifestyle. And then the other thing is, if they don't want to do all their lights, the convenience there is being able to have one button and turn off all the lights. And that's a big convenience in a big house. But if they don't want to go that route, then we say, and we find out they entertain a lot. Say, let's set you up with a light scene that you only use for entertainment. And we'll pick all the lights that you use when you entertain, and we'll set them up ahead of time, put them on one button, and you just have to hit it. Then when the party's over, you hit it again, they're off. So again, it's just a different twist on what we do. And we've gotten a lot more traction. Our lighting sales are up right now because we're selling smaller lighting packages to more systems. So, and as I alluded to earlier, that's one of the things that clients tend to add on to. So next time they do something on their AV system, I always get one of these, oh, and by the way, we'd like to add a few more rooms of lighting control. So that's definitely something if you're not doing. If you're just doing a few switches, and this is a judgment call, I'm certainly not advocating. I have a couple guys on staff that are pretty confident and they switch out the switches. But if I have a major retrofit job, I have 2 or 3 electrician partners that I work with. I just bring them in because at the end of the day, most of my guys are little screwdriver guys. And I don't like them playing with live voltage.
Is that a problem with prices?
We don't where we're at. Some city suburbs you do. So we have in Ohio they don't have big statewide regulations except for fire, but we have numerous little burbs.
Yeah, not New York City.
Most of them are just pay me my fee and file the permit and name them on their insurance policy. But we really look at our packages. If I've got more than a couple switches, then we will bring an electrician on that site for it takes them less than a couple hours to change out light switches. So it's not that big of an ordeal. But if you're going to go into a lighting system on a bigger scale, where you're going in, you have to start figuring out which are the master switches, which are the slaves, and all that. Then I would highly suggest you just get a good competent electrician.
What about thermostats?
Thermostats, since we have some pretty competent people on staff, I know that there's, like one of my employees spent 26 years with one of the really big national 3-letter security companies, and that's one of their biggest problems is they were blowing up HVAC control units right and left, so you do have to be careful with
Well, I was a general manager in that maybe too. I got some honest posts. It was unbelievable,
Well, and it's just something that you're taking people who aren't used to doing that and asking them to do it. You're asking for trouble.
I mean, what's that we're trying to do in-house? We got ourselves in this doing that.
It's a tough call. Now, because we've done some really big, evolved HVAC systems, we had to learn it so we can talk HVAC contractors through the process. Because some of the projects we've done have had like 20, 25 zones of HVAC. And as soon as you talk about replacing thermostats on a job site, you've got another problem. So, so I have a couple people on staff who are pretty good at it, but either you have to really be willing to go through and do some training and research so that your techs understand what they're doing, or again, there's plenty of small HVAC contractors out there that probably are looking to fill in their work schedule and partner with them. It's a good solution. That's a very good point, though. You can take something you sold for $100-some and cost yourself $500 or $600 in a heartbeat.
I gotta ask you this, with what you're saying, I guess it depends on the market, and the percentages that we've seen and the numbers for going into the home automation, integration, whatever you would like to call it, partnering with that, where are you getting the RMR back out of that at?
Well, it goes back to the advanced features. So we sell systems they can use their phones to operate, so they're using apps, and so you can charge more for those. So, which is a really good point. One of the reasons we were looking at this is just like everybody else, we were facing attrition. Not because we did something wrong, but for two reasons. Our systems have become less relevant in this world, and two, phone lines are disappearing right and left. And it's an industry problem. One of the things I've found since I've switched to advanced feature sets is that the people that were canceling on my side, if I had 3 people calling to cancel, I would convert 2 of them to an upgrade who would literally pay me more than twice what they were paying before. So what that tells me is it's not the money, except that, we've got, obviously there's the hardship cases where there's been a death or someone lost their job, everybody's got those, that's pretty hard to overcome. Some of them where there was just phone lines and things like that, it wasn't the money, it was just that they didn't feel they got enough out of the system for what they were using it for. And, we can all talk till we're blue in the face about the fire being on 24/7, and you should use your security system, but at the end of the day, it's not what we think, it's what they think. So, being able to sell advanced feature sets where they can do more things from an app on their phone, get notified by email and text, you stick all those features together, you've raised the value proposition. So, instead of $29.99, we're getting $49.99 if they're using their phone to operate. And that's a big jump. And they're paying. And more importantly, they're using their systems more, which means that you've got a more loyal customer. So I'm a huge fan of the automation security platform-based systems and all the advertising. And I thank the ADTs of the world. I do.
I'll retire yourself.
Honestly do. You guys are doing something that our industry, the CDS, CE Pro industry has not been able to do in 20 years. We've talked and done home automation systems for over 20 years, but mainstream America has no clue what it is until now. Now everybody in America knows you can turn lights on with your iPhone. That's a huge, huge thing. And there's tons of business out there for everybody. So I focus less on who my competitors are and more on where the opportunities are. And there's a lot of them.
How do you think you're going to feel when, or compete against your DIYs with your Levitons and different ones making the lighting controls with the apps like the Nest and all these other things that are coming out? I mean, what are you looking at with those as they hit the market? Because more and more of them, you got your garage door you can change, you got the Nest, you got these plug adapters, you got all of these people that are coming in. You can do it for free or 99-cent app now.
Here's how I look at it. It kind of goes up with the public awareness thing. And I tend to think that that's all good. First of all, nobody has succeeded in doing that. Because at the end of the day, it's really not that simple. Anybody who's doing these installs, there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve on your part and on your staff's part. Because even though they've simplified it a lot and will continue to get easier, there's just things you need to know in repetition. Cause that. There's going to be plenty of homeowners who buy those kits and return them. And there'll be some that are pretty tech savvy and they'll do them. At the end of the day, I tend to think those are not my customers. That's just my point of view. out of the whole spectrum of people out there, the lowest third is just not my customers anyway, no matter what. So what they do, I don't even worry about. The middle America and up are the ones I think that I have some traction with. And so you might find somebody, we've already had a few cases where someone had bought products like that, could not get them to work, and have called us in. And then we've showed them some better products and they took them back. And so it can go both ways. But at the end of the day, I think the real big upside here is that awareness is 10 times what it was just a year or so ago. And that's why the time is right now for everybody in this room to really start looking at this. Because if you're still doing business the way you did 5 years ago, you are on your way out of business, you just don't know. And I'm not a gloom and doom kind of guy, but our world has changed. It is not the same place it was 5 years ago. Our competition has changed and our technology has changed. And the way people buy things, more importantly, has changed. So that's why I think this is a huge opportunity. This is probably the best time I think there is to be in the alarm industry right now. Right now.
Does your company go back there to account for this? I mean, you just said about this awareness is out there right now.
I'll get to that. That's a good point. Because we've been in business 24 years, so we've been as guilty as everybody for neglecting our own customers. But not from service, but just I guess we were really close. So we did a couple initiatives at our company. And again, we're in a small market in Cleveland, so compared to some people in this room, we're not a big company, but we had hundreds and hundreds of what I call orphan accounts. And those are people that were sold by a salesman who no longer worked for my company and has not been assigned to anybody, so they haven't called me for anything. If they call me, I assign them to somebody right away. So we went through our CRM and found an alarming, really big number of people. And really, I was really ashamed. I really was. It was one of my lowest moments that week was when I saw how many of my clients don't have a person that they know to call if something, I'm just not contacting them. So we took our orphan accounts. I assigned them to a sales rep. So they had a couple of missions. First of all, you have to have people's email addresses. If you're not actively pursuing your clients' email addresses, you need to. Again, it's a changing world out there. So whenever they reach them, they're just introducing themselves as their customer service rep. They're saying, we haven't seen or heard from you in a long time, and we're apologizing for that. And as a token of our esteem for you and for doing business with us, we want to come out and do a free inspection on your system. I'll bring a tech out, and we will look at everything at no charge just to make sure everything is the way it was when we installed it for you. While we got them on the phone, or when we get with them later, if we get an appointment, we are getting their email addresses. We are updating their information, making sure we have the right phone numbers, updating our CRM system so we have all that stuff. In conjunction with that, we did some, a lot of other stuff. We put together invoice stuffers, which that's nothing new. And I think I actually have a few slides that show you some of the things we did here, so I'll follow up with that. And then we also had a list of security account customers because I do both. I have most of my custom AV jobs we do the security for, but there's still a lot of security systems out there where we did it. So we also had a security account customer list that weren't assigned to salespeople. Or if they were, we assigned one person just to follow up on the security systems. And the whole purpose of that was, again, we're offering a free inspection, but we want to upgrade them, get them off the phone line, let them know what the new features are. We gave them incentives based on being able to do an upgrade. That's working out very well. Some of the things that we did in conjunction with all this, so if they were on our email list already, they were getting newsletters and emails and e-blasts. If they weren't, we were mailing something like this. So this is an RSVP mailer. that goes out to the top 500 new homeowners in our market every time they mail. So the reason we do that is because a lot of people are buying houses that have existing alarm systems, and they gotta get them hooked up from somebody. So, they also buy a lot of AV in the first 6 months of moving into a new home. So that's a great marketing list to work on. So, so we have some kind of inducement on a RSVP mailing. We monitor our results and change the call to action, trying to tweak what we get back. So that's one of the things we do. And this one, by the way, was paid by our manufactured co-op dollars, which was really nice. So we got that approved. So when you're looking, if you're not doing the kind of equipment that it takes to do this, when you look at manufacturers, look at some things like that. Do they have a co-op money that they'll let you use to do things like that? So this whole program that we're doing for this year was all paid for by co-op money. So I think it's monthly.
And how'd you get that out to you end users?
Do you guys have RSVP near you? I'm sorry. In Cleveland, there's a subscription, there's a marketing service that sends packets of things like this size. They'll send like 15 of them in one package. And so when a new homeowner moves in, they'll have all these offers from all these companies, and they only pick one vendor per category. So I would be the only security vendor in that mailing. And so when they get that and they're new to the area and they're looking, they'll go through every one of those, and you hope for get somebody who's interested. So that's one of the ways that we are going after that market. That seems to be pretty cost effective. It's not hard to do. RSVP, and if you have, I don't know what they may call it something different in your area, but I would almost bet you have something like this. They'll even help you with the ad art and everything. Another thing that we did, and this was a borrowed idea, my marketing coordinator borrowed it from somebody that she interfaced with at one of these functions. We do a lot of the conferences, but it was just a refer to secure program where we advertised to our clients that they could have monitoring free for life by recommending so many of their friends and family. So basically, they have 7 accounts active that they've referred over the life of their account. I don't charge them for their monitoring forever, as long as they have them. So we've been advertising that. That's actually an insert from our company newsletter. So, and our company newsletter is all digital, although we do print them out, keep them on the counter. And it also goes to our email list. So, when I alluded earlier that emails are absolutely critical to marketing these days. We opened our new showroom 2 years from August, this coming August. And a lot of our marketing is event-based. We have a lot of events at our showroom. So in those 2 years, almost 2 years, we have assembled 6,000 email addresses. And we've done every event imaginable, from surprise birthday parties to safety council dinners. But everybody who comes into my showroom, one way or the other, I get their email. They can always opt out, but so our email list keeps growing. So that's how we market everything from newsletters to specials to events. This is just a simple invoice stuff that we were using. You put it on a sheet of paper and cut it in thirds. And on one side, it had our Refer to Secure program. If you guys have not used QR codes, a QR code allows someone to use their phone. And that when they store that image on their phone, it takes them to a web page. So that's all they have to do. And my marketing coordinator is very good at this kind of stuff, and she put that QR code in the back of our business cards, and I was kind of laughing at her like, who in the world's going to use this? The very first person I gave her a card to, she looked at that and she goes, what is that? And I said, it's a QR code. You use your smartphone with an app, and it'll download all the information in your phone. She goes, Really? She downloaded this app in under 30 seconds, had my information in her phone, and handed me my card back. Said, I don't need this anymore. So that's just another way. Any way you can make it easier for them to engage. So we always put like QR codes just to make it easier, phone numbers, websites. So on the one side of that, there's Refer to Secure program. On the other side of the same supper is our upgrade program. So those go out in all our buildings. You know, just again, it's a combination of things. And then another thing that we're doing, I don't know if any of you have worked with Revenue Online. Anybody heard of them? They're an online marketing firm that specializes in search engine optimization, banner ads, and rebroadcasting things. So basically, this gets blasted out to a list. Either we provide, or we rent, or you come up with. And again, they end up going to our website, to a landing page, and then we get their information and score leads on. So this was a program that was put together by them. A lot of these programs, the artwork is all sponsored by the manufacturers, and in many cases, manufacturers will run programs using a service like Revenue, where they'll pay for a lot of the cost involved. So there's a lot of advantages there. Again, if you don't have someone on your staff that's really savvy with that, this is pretty easily outsourced. There's quite a few people out there now who are good with social media and social media type marketing. And in fact, when we got started in social media, one of the first things I learned about it was it's extremely time consuming. So what happens is you start one, and you start a second one, by the time you know it, you need a full-time person just to keep them relevant. So we actually hired someone to put all of ours up, make them nice to look at, and then they actually put some of our content on for us as the week goes by. And then over the last couple of years, my staff have gotten to the point now where they'll start contributing articles and blogs and things. So it's, we've kind of learned to grow into that era. But that's probably the last thing. So that was just some of the things that we're doing to get into this what I would call the next era of the alarm industry, where we're actually going to be doing more like home automation style systems. And I really think that's where our industry is headed. I think our alarm systems that we have out there sitting on phone lines are in jeopardy. And I think this is a solution. And you got a choice to add more sales dollars on the front end of the sale, which all of us can subscribe to. One thing I will say, my alarm company does not do free alarm systems. We make money on, we try to make money on every single one. So we're not in the mass market arena. But what kind of questions are, what are some of you doing? This is a small group. I'd really be curious to hear some of your things. Yes?
But in New York City, as you know, so we are an advocate, so we have to send out agreements every 3 years, 5 years. So what we've been doing is sending out the agreement. It's part of the package, we getting back to the client. We're doing my agreements. So, one of the ways is you just have to send probably more information for the central station form. So that's
sure.
So it's part of the whole program. And the other question, how often do you send your newsletter out?
Our newsletter goes out quarterly. I'd say actually probably every 2 months. I think we do about 6 a year. We do blogs about once a week, and Facebook stuff and Twitter stuff pretty much daily.
And some of the challenges getting information to get it done. That's what I was. You want to do it, but then try to get everybody to give you an article.
Well, there's no easy solution. I'll just tell you, and I have a lot of talented people working for me, but they're really busy. So we started assigning them, we started rotating around, like, you're responsible for a blog this week, you're responsible. And with some coercing, we've got them in the habit of doing it. So we're probably getting 6 to 8 people on my staff contributing blogs. And then my marketing coordinator and I kind of fill in the gaps, but, so we did it, that finally got people, again, that's not something you're gonna snap your finger and you're automatically gonna be in the social media world. It's a learned progression. In 24 years, one thing I can assure you is I've made every mistake in the book, every one of them, you know. Yes?
Joe, as you said, that social media, getting your marketing started, it's very difficult. Unless you even, I started by hiring a part-time person and just had them do marketing. You know, I avoided the temptation of having them fill in for somebody who wasn't there and everything like that. And even if you start with somebody 10 hours a week, even with a newsletter, you'd be surprised. Once you get the first 1 or 2 newsletters are the hardest thing in the world. And then they get easier as time goes by. Sometimes you can retread information you get from an association meeting or something like that, and use it in the newsletter. It doesn't have to be unique.
Just that is such an excellent observation. I can't really take credit for this, but I'll tell you when my aha moment came, and it's the same thing what you just said. I had we were expanding into commercial AV 2 years ago, going on 3 years ago. And I knew better than to just say my residential AV guys can do it, we'll learn by organic growth, because that's not a good way to do it. So I found a 20-year veteran in commercial AV who had operational experience, and he was living in South Florida, which they had a really bad time in the economy, so his livelihood was devastated. And so I got him convinced to come up, move to Ohio. He's been in Florida his entire life, so that was different. He had one little caveat. His wife worked for the same company, and she did marketing. And he wanted to know if we would give her a shot. So I finally was back and forth. And I thought, I can't afford a marketing person. I really didn't think I could. But I really wanted this guy, and I thought, well, I said, no strings attached. We'll give her 90 days, and we'll see how it works out. I knew it was a risk because you fire somebody's wife, you're probably going to lose your employee. But I did talk to her. She's very, very. She's one of these really high energy people, and I thought, you know what? If nothing else, it's always good to have someone like that on your staff. So I hired him as a pair, and. Not that I don't love her husband dearly, he's a good guy. She was the diamond in the rough, and she's my marketing coordinator, and that's what she does full time. She manages all of our marketing campaigns. We have a 20,000 square foot showroom, so we have a lot of events. She manages all those. All of our social media. My guys do really good work, but when you enter them in contests, you still have to know how to put it together into packages where judges will give you awards and make sure the nice photographs are done. We've probably won more awards since she's been on my staff than I have the rest of the years combined, and we do the same work. So it's not that we got all of a sudden better, but we probably won 30 National Design Awards in the last 2 years alone. And she puts every one of those together. So I would tell you that if you can swing a marketing person part-time, full-time, you have somebody who's that could do that, although it's hard to grow into. So my advice would be find somebody who's already doing it. Even if you find somebody who's a marketing consultant, and he's got a small business and does websites and stuff or something like that, you might be able to hire him out as a contractor on a part-time basis. There's a lot of people out there doing stuff like that. But it is one way to make your company appear and grow much faster because someone is paying attention to the marketing. And in a lot of our cases, marketing got paid attention at 10 o'clock at night after you put out all the rest of the fires for the day. And you're really at your tiredest. So I agree with you 100%. I kind of stumbled my way into it, and if I ever lost my marketing coordinator, I'd immediately hire another one. So that's a very good point. We still have a couple more minutes. Anything else somebody else is doing that they're getting some traction on, or problems, or questions? All right. Terrific. Thank you so much for participating, and hope you guys have a really great rest of your ESF show. Thank you.